Imagine if you had to create a program that displayed 1,000 random numbers on your screen. That sounds like it would be a lot of code, right? Well, it definitely would be, but lucky for us, there's a simple way we can do this. This is where loops come in. With loops, we can create the code, write it once, and then tell JavaScript to repeat that code as much as we like. Think of a loop like a conditional statement, except that with a loop, our code keeps running until a certain condition is false. Then that loop is complete. The first type of loop that we are going to work with is a while loop. Let's look at the basic syntax for this type of loop. Notice how similar our while loop looks compared to our conditional statement? Now, let's create a program that uses a while loop in it, then we will review the code afterwards. So the first thing I'm going to do is set our condition for a while loop to run. Basically what this is saying, if x is less than 4, then run the loop. I'm going to make a simple document.write command and output some text to the page in this example. I'm going to add a plus here in our quotes to add a little bit of space in between each string that's repeated. And next, I have to actually declare our variable x and give it a value. We're just going to make it a value of 0 at the start. And of course, I need to add x plus 1 every time the loop runs. Once the loop runs 4 times, x will equals 4 and the loop will stop running. So with this code, our string will be outputted to the page 4 times. Let's give her a save and see what happens. Alright, we can see our text is entered 4 times here. What if, for whatever reason, we want to output this text more than 4 times though? Well, all we have to do is go into our code and change our conditional statement. Instead of having it 4, let's switch it to 500. Basically what this is saying, our loop will run 500 times until x equals 500, and then we'll break out of the loop this way. We can see that's a lot of text on the screen. Now, let's create an example with our JavaScript loop for a random number generator. Basically, we're going to make a program that will generate a long list of random numbers onto the screen. It's going to be very similar to the code we just made, but it's going to be a little bit more practical. So, to start things off, we're going to start off with our basic while loop. Once you have our basic while loop displayed, I'm going to make a counter. And I'm going to declare that counter as 0 at the start of the program. And then what we need to do is place our counter variable into our loop and increase it by 1 every time the loop is run. This is how we track the loop, so that once our loop reaches a certain point, we can break out of the loop. If we don't have our counter in our loop, then our program will just keep running the loop over and over again. This is called an indefinite loop, and it's not a very good thing in JavaScript. We always want a way to break out of our loop, just in case. Later on, you will actually learn a particular keyword that will let you do that, but for now, we're just going to use variables and numbers with our conditional statements to make our loop stop. So, we need to add our conditional statement in here. Let's put our counter and say if our counter is less than 50, then run the loop. Once our counter equals 50, then break out of the loop. I'm going to quickly steer our random number generator we used previously in the course. Check out the working with numbers section of this course if you're not familiar with this piece of code. Let's give our code to multiply our number by. Let's go with 100. We also need to give a variable for our random number generator. Last but not least, we need to create a document.write command, and we're going to output the random number that is generated to the screen. So here we have our variable counter equals 0, and then we have our counter is less than 50 while loop, and then we're adding 1 to the counter every time the loop is run. We're generating a random number, and then outputting that random number to the page. We're also going to add our space and our quotes just to add a little bit of space between our numbers here. Let's run the code and see what happens. Uh-oh. we seem to have a syntax error. Let's go through and see what the problem is. Oh, we can see here I misspelled document. Forgive me, my typing is not that great. Oh, that's not how we spell document either. Alright, so I think our program's good to go and we can see what happens. Alright, we can see our random numbers being displayed here. Pretty cool. Now, just like our last example, let's say we wanted to make thousands of numbers, and I mean a lot of numbers. How would we do this? All we would have to do is change our number in our conditional statement. Let's put a really large number here. I'm also going to demonstrate to you how fast JavaScript actually works. So the moment that I just ran a program, our JavaScript program just generated literally thousands of numbers, just like that. Pretty cool, eh? This is the power of JavaScript, and this is why loops are very important for running code over and over again. It also makes us be able to program a lot faster, because we don't have to write our same programs and functions and all that over and over again. Now, the while loop is the first type of loop that you've learned, and as you go through this section of the course, you're going to learn a lot of different types of loops and different things you can do with loops. So just take this in for now, maybe think about how you can apply it to your programs you're using right now, and I'll meet you back in the next video of the course.